Had a great time. For people in Texas right now, I definitely praying for everyone there, and hopefully, everyone gets power, electricity, and of course, hopefully the snow continues to melt, and life gets somewhat back to normal for you. Definitely hate seeing all of that that's going on down there, and you know, just praying for everyone there as well. I got family there too, and then definitely checking in on them and seeing how they're doing as well. Um, of course, here in Nashville it's snowing, but it's not snowing anymore. Of course, it snowed, but it's melted outside, and it's melting outside. I can see. I'm up here in the office now, and I'm looking outside, and the roof across from me is not. There's not any snow on it, so it's kind of melting off there. Still, good little bit on the ground. Hopefully, in the next couple of days it'll melt away, and we can move around a little bit more again. So hopefully then. But good Saturday afternoon again, everybody. Hoping you're enjoying your weekend, getting the time to relax and unwind, and just enjoy yourself with whatever you're doing. Of course, if you don't know, my name is Mike Patton. Usually I'm on here, and I usually do a sports show on Thursday nights, touring the AFC South. But, of course, jumped on here today, do some random sports talk. We can talk NFL, we can talk NBA, we can talk baseball, soccer, anything you want to talk. Cornhole, yes. During the pandemic, there has been cornhole on ESPN airwaves, yes. And I watched it. I've actually played it, so hey, look to see if I can get a few tips. Hey, what can I say? But yeah, just stopping through, talk a few random sports topics that I saw, and wanted to put my 2 cents in on. My first one actually is Jayla Johnson. For those that don't know, he's a freshman that was at Duke. He decided to opt out of the rest of the season and get prepared for the NBA draft. Of course, there's been people for that, against that, whatever they may be. Jim Boeheim comes out and has a statement saying that, hey, maybe they were better off with him. Maybe he inspired them to go on a win streak or anything like that. And, as soon as he said that, I had to just go like, time out, Jim Boeheim. I mean, first of all, he's not your player. So you obviously don't know what's going on with him, why he made the decision. So first off, that's out of hand. It's out of pocket. And I don't know why you even said anything. Secondly, that's his decision. I don't think it's right for you to talk about him. And then, to be honest, you're making millions of dollars and have made millions of dollars your entire coaching career off of kids that are not getting any money at all from the program. Sure, people will talk about, oh, I got a scholarship, they got this, they got that. Trust me, I was a scholarship athlete as well. So I know what the deal is. Those kids aren't getting a whole bunch. They're getting school, but other than that, I can tell you it's not all the glitz and glamour that everyone talks about a scholarship being. So with that being said, Jim Boeheim, stop talking. Stop talking. Leave him alone. Let that kid do what he wants to do. If it's a decision that turns out well for him, fine. Decision that turns out bad for him, fine. But he's making a decision that's best for him, just like you make a decision that's best for you to continue to coach, even though a lot of people say that maybe you should stop coaching because Syracuse basketball hasn't really been that relevant for a while now. Let's just be real here, Jim Boeheim. And it hasn't been relevant for a while. So, for you to get on there and talk about a kid you don't know and slander him, honestly, that's a bad reflection upon you. Then, by the way, Jim Boeheim, while you're at it, you got a booger in your nose, man. I know you like on the sideline picking your nose and stuff. Go ahead and get that booger out your nose. Now, for those that don't know, he's got a picture of him basically while he's coaching on the sideline, picking his nose in front of everybody. So, yeah, Go ahead, pick your nose, Mr. Mayhem. Boy, oh boy. While I'm on here, I just want to talk about, you'll probably see me, some may be seeing me on the Haps app, some may be seeing me on Facebook, Twitter, different places there, YouTube. But hey, why don't you go ahead and join the Haps app? Just go ahead. I can send an invite to you, or, however you want to do it. Just basically, I don't know if you like to broadcast or talk or anything like that. I know a lot of people do IG Live and Facebook Live and things like that. Why not come here, stop in, broadcast what you're doing? Saves you time. You don't have to worry about which one you're on, or whether I go to Facebook Live or I can go to this live, that live. You can come right here and it can go everywhere for you. Just like that. I mean, it's a pretty easy process. I can send you the link if you want, however you want to do it. How you doing, Stephen Harris? Thanks for stopping through. Well, just on here talking random sports. Gonna see if I can round up some of my compadres here to see if they want to come on. We got to do this real quick. I'm gonna reach out to a few people that I know, see if they want to come on. Real quick. Just give me 1 second, everybody. Let's see here. And I was waiting on a particular guy because I know he wants to talk about his favorite team. In basketball, at least. And that would be the Brooklyn Nets. But I'll hold off and wait on it. If he wants to talk about them, that's fine. If he doesn't want to come on, that's fine too. But hey, it's all good with me. But yeah, definitely, as we talk about basketball, I want to dip off into the NBA. Of course, recently the All-Star starters were named. In the West, you've got Luka Doncic, you've got Steph Curry, you've got LeBron James, you've got Kawhi Leonard, and you've got Jokic at the center. Jokic at the center. This is Joker at the center. Jokic, sorry, at the center position. That's that starting lineup. You can make a case for everybody being in that. And, of course, it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter what we talk about anyway. But one name that a lot of people have been talking about is Dane Lillard. Dame time, as a lot of people call him. He's been one of the clutchest players in the NBA this year. And despite losing two of the top players, in CJ McCollum and their starting center as well, they are still cooking with gas. They're still staying with their heads above water. And they're still in competition to make the Western Conference playoffs, if not go deep in the playoffs potentially, with all their cash returning, of course. But there are a lot of people that have a problem with Luka Doncic starting over Damian Lillard. I mean, I will say this: the numbers are good for both players, but the wins, I think, is the difference. I mean, Luka doesn't have as many wins as the Portland Trailblazers. They don't. They're struggling this year as a team. Of course, some of that is Kristaps Porzingis. It's not there. But they're struggling as a team this year compared to last year and still trying to find themselves. Portland, on the other hand, could have struggled without the players I previously mentioned, but Dame Lillard is keeping them afloat. He's hitting big shots. And plus, they're deep this year. I mean, you have Carmelo Anthony coming in off the bench getting buckets. You've got Robert Covington you added to this team. You've got Mick Jones on the perimeter you added to this team as well. I mean, they are a deep team this year. I mean, you hadn't even seen Zach Collins this year, who was projected to be their starting power forward. You hadn't even seen him this year either. So, I mean, with all those missing pieces, and they're still in the hunt, and Dame Lillard is still doing this thing to hold them in there, have them hang in there, I'm sorry. Now, that's great. I mean, and honestly, I believe he deserves to start over Luka, but, hey, it is what it is, and that's what we have. course, in the East, you have Kyrie Irving starting at point guard. You have Bradley Beal starting at the other guard. You have Kevin Durant. You have, Kevin Durant. You have Embiid. The other starter escapes me for right now, so please forgive my memory. But one guy that's not in that starting lineup is James Harden. Now, I was, watching a show this morning. Shout out to 3 Point Conversion. That's who I write for and do a few things for as well. And Mr. Controversy mentioned this morning about James Harden potentially being the starter over Kyrie Irving. I mean, Kyrie Irving is considered the quote unquote point guard, but when James Harden got there, Harden became the point guard. And he became the point guard of that team, and Kyrie shifted to his quote unquote shooting guard. So it's interesting that Kyrie got the start when he's missed more games, and then you have Harden, who essentially forced his way out of Houston and landed in Brooklyn and has seemingly fit in and done what the team has asked him to do. I mean, I'll put it this way in terms of who should start between those two. When you see Kyrie out there and James Harden and Kevin Durant weren't out there, did you see them pull off a big win against a over 500 team? Not sure you did. But I know what I did see. And I did see James Harden out there by himself, without Kyrie, without Kyrie, without James Harden, without Kyrie, without Kevin Durant, and he pulled off a win against the Phoenix Suns. So that, in my opinion, I think James Harden should be starting in the All-Star game over Kyrie Irving. And hey, look who it is. I was just talking about the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh my goodness!
Right on time.
So I came right on time. The Brooklyn Nets superfan is here.
Yeah, I was talking about the All-Star starting lineup, and it has Kyrie Irving, has Beal, Kevin Durant. You've got Embiid, and I don't know why the last name is escaping me right now. For the love of goodness gracious, it's escaping me. But honestly, at the point guard spot, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, the guard spot. I'm thinking James Harden should start over Kyrie Irving in the All-Star game. I mean, what do you think?
It's a popularity contest, so unfortunately, you're going to have 5 players that are going to be positionless, and I think that's what the NBA is now. But without a doubt, I think James Harden should be starting. He's played the point guard. He's managed the point guard position much, much better. And Kyrie has even acquiesced and said James is a point guard. So, but like I said, it's a popularity contest, so Kyrie gets in. But at the end of the game, trust me, the big 3 will be in the game together.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you there. One thing I also want to mention as well, I forgot about this one over in the Western Conference, but you've got Kawhi Leonard starting in this All-Star game too, or is listed as a starter. In my opinion, and I know this is not going to be the most popular opinion, I believe Paul George should be starting over Kawhi Leonard. And I'll explain why.
Okay.
Paul George is, the points. Kawhi Leonard definitely has more points, scores more points per game. I believe 2 more points per game than Paul George. But if you look at the assists and the rebounds, Paul George is better than Kawhi Leonard this year. Also, if you look at the games that they played this year, look at the clutch baskets that Paul George has hit. How many clutch baskets can you tell me that Kawhi Leonard has hit the first half of the season? In those respects, I've got to go with Paul George over Kawhi Leonard. To me, that's just my feeling on it.
I'm gonna have to, and I don't know if the echo is coming from my end. If so, I'll jump out and jump back in.
It might be for me. Give me 1 second. Let me try. Now, I didn't hear it before. Didn't hear it before, but I don't know. Maybe I need to turn my sound down some a little bit,
No,
potentially.
or it could be me. Maybe I'll try turning my sound down because I don't want to ruin this. Um,
It's
I
all
haven't
good.
watched too many Clippers games, Mike. You know, so I really couldn't answer that question. And I usually dislike when people say, "Hey, I can't answer that question because I haven't seen it." But I really haven't watched too many Clippers games this year because the like from a fan's perspective, which I am, is these guys are really going to dig in on the second half of the season. They're going to coast during the first half, where, some of them will be rested, some of the stuff will be COVID, but the second half is when they're really going to dig their heels in, and we can really see how it's going to progress into the playoffs. But I mean, heck, Paul George got that mega contract, so I guess that guarantees, that qualifies them to get a all-star spot.
I hear you there. I hear you there. By the way, I'm sorry. Thanks for stopping in, Tony D. Thanks for stopping in from Warner Robins. Got to be Warner Robins, Georgia. Got to be. Got to be. They've been catching a lot of rain down there in Georgia this week. We know, as opposed to the snow we've caught. So,
Mike, I got to tell you, I jumped in on a live stream with Tony D and some of his friends last night. Very, very creative and interesting. They started going down the road of talking Bitcoin, um,
mhm.
cryptocurrency, and their strategies. So it really, really diverse conversation. So big shout out to you, Tony D.
Gotcha. That's one thing I haven't quite got into just yet. Is I haven't quite gotten to that just yet, or did my homework there. But it's something definitely gonna have to take a look at. Of course, obviously. You know. But one thing also I want to mention too. You didn't catch this one before you got in, but I talked about Jim Boeheim and his comments on Jayla Johnson. I don't know if you're aware of what happened there, but Jaylen
Mm-mm.
Johnson decided he was going to opt out of the rest of the season for Duke.
Okay.
And here comes Jim Boeheim with his comments on, well, he inspired the team and they went on a 2-game win streak without him and all kind of other things. And then, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, Jim Boeheim, is it your place to talk on him? One.
Not at all.
Secondly, huh?
I said not at all.
Right. And then secondly, I'm like, this is the same guy that picks his boogers on the sideline while he coaches. So are we really going to give him a platform? And then thirdly, I would say, okay, his team in Syracuse, when have they been relevant on a national level in the last, couple of years? They haven't.
They
So I'm
haven't.
like, honestly, it's almost like he's either trying to stand up for the NCAA, which stop it, or he's trying to get himself on the national level talked about, which Jay Billis obliged him and told him he was flat out wrong anyway, the same day. So it just, yeah, it boggles my mind. And then plus he's a free, and he's basically getting free labor out of these kids. So I mean,
Of
honestly,
course.
stop it, Jim Boeheim.
I I kind of just to diverge a little bit, the EA Sports and college football, with the video game coming back, and I'm like, okay, haven't you lived off of them enough? But
Right.
for Boeheim, when was the last time he was relevant? When was the last time Syracuse was relevant that didn't involve Carmelo Anthony or something like that? I just can't remember.
Well, I just remember, let's see, I remember Jeremy Grant being there, but past him, I'm, eh. Can't really remember too much. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I think Jim Boeheim has literally stayed past his time there at
Of course.
at Syracuse. I mean, honestly, I mean, you have other coaches. You have Coach K. Speaking of Duke, he's still relevant, and he's been there a long time. He's been there relevant. He's been relevant pretty much the entire time he's been there.
Right.
I mean, people don't like John Calipari, but he's been relevant everywhere he's went. Despite, of course, this season. I mean, I don't know what to tell Jim Boeheim, but it might be time for him to hang him up. I think it's been time for him to hang him up. Of course, I don't make that decision for him. That's his own personal decision.
Right.
But it just boggles my mind that a lot of people don't get it and still won't get it. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to see, frustrating to listen to, and I'm just kind of over him, over him talking. It's frustrating. And it's just it's just frustrating, and I don't like hearing him talk. But we're gonna go back to the NBA. I'm gonna go back to they haven't picked the subs yet, and of course they were talking about the subs today. Again, I'm gonna shout out Mr. Controversy and the Intellectual this morning on the three-point conversion show this morning. I was watching that, and they were talking about potential all-star subs. Two names that came up a lot: Zach Levine, Jaylen Brown. They're both probably going to be battling for that last spot. Zach Levine is having a great year, just the team isn't doing great overall. Right. They're better than they were last year, but just not as good as they were. They're like a half a game out. So that's not bad. They just sometimes they look good, sometimes they're just kind of uneven. They're like a roller coaster, like this the entire time you watch them, especially last night. Then you have Jaylen Brown. I mean, I was listening to this Wayne Wade, and he was talking about how pickup basketball, this is exactly how Jaylen Brown plays, and he's finally bringing that to the Boston Celtics. So with the way he's played, and of course with Jason Tatum being out, the COVID and not necessarily being himself when he's come back, and he's actually admitted that in terms of the extreme fatigue still being there. I honestly think he could, it could be a tough choice between those two. I mean, honestly, they didn't like the Boston Celtics have been just tearing it up either. So, if I had to choose between those two guys, I mean, I think Zach Levine could have potentially been there last year. But it's going to be tough to make a choice. If I have to choose between both, though, I'd have to go with Zach Levine. I mean, he's the only guy I can say that's consistent offensively on the Bulls team. Name me one other. I can't name you another guy that's consistent offensively on that team. So he literally has to put up points for them to win every single game, and he does it every single game. And he actually has the second most clutch points of any guard outside of Damian Lillard. So that right there alone, to me, makes him the choice for the All-Star game. I mean, you have any thoughts on that one or anything?
Well, I'll share this. My good friend Roy Curtin who's a diehard Boston Celtics fans, informs me every day at work, whether I'm there physically or remote, about what's happening with the Celtics. I will say I don't disagree with you, but I'm going to go in the other direction and say I'm thinking as we get closer towards the All-Star game, when people start to kind of quote-unquote tap out, that both of them will probably get in there for the game. What else? I don't know. It's just Jaylen Brown is Jaylen Brown. I haven't seen too much of the Bulls. I believe you favor the Bulls. That's your favorite team, correct?
That is, so I'm a little biased.
Yeah, you. That's like me talking about hey, I think DeAndre Jordan should be. I mean, of course, not on the same level of that, but that's like me politicking for DeAndre Jordan. You looking at me like with the side eye, like Ted, come on, man. But nah, I haven't seen a lot of Zach Levine. I've seen highlights of him. I've seen and heard a little bit more of Jaylen Brown because he's in the division. And the Nets meet up with them. But I think it's a strong possibility because every All-Star game, someone hey, needs rest, or someone has a sprained ankle, or there's going to be something that's going to come up at the last second, and there's going to be alternate picks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And but one thing I do know this year, if Julius Randle is not in this All-Star game, there's going to be a problem. He's earned it. If you look at the way he's played for the New York basketball Knicks, yeah, I said New York basketball Knicks, but if you look at the way he's played, I mean, honestly, he's earned it. He is the focal point of that offense. The ball goes through him. They have Elfrid Payton there, but I mean, honestly, he runs the offense. Julius Randle does, and he runs it greatly from the high post. He steps out to the three and shoots the three, and he drives to the basket. And one thing I'll say, I'm partial to him because I'm left-handed too. So hey, that too, he has that going for him. So
Gotcha.
He's got to be there to me.
Mike, there's a reason I knew I liked you because I'm also a lefty.
There we go.
So that's one piece to it. The second thing is PER rating for Julius Randle off the chain. There's no way he doesn't get in as a reserve, because like I said, starting, the starters, it's all popularity contest. But then with because that would be a really hard snub. And I really can't see him getting snubbed.
We've seen crazier things, I will say that. But
yeah.
Okay.
I think the NBA is so starved for Knicks to be relevant that somehow, someone's going to get a wink that he has to get in. But I could be wrong. I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
I understand. One thing I did mention today as well is something that would shake up the All-Star game.
Okay.
Well, hear me out. Every year they give a Sixth Man of the Year award. Every year there is somebody coming in off the bench lighting it up. Now that isn't hard. That's a hard thing to do. Come in off the bench and instant offense. This year, Jordan Clarkson has been doing it great for the Utah Jazz. And I think he actually is considered, I think he should get some consideration for the All-Star game. My idea is, since there are starters being named on both teams for the All-Star game, why not have one designation for a sixth man from each conference to be in the All-Star game? This year, I would definitely pick Jordan Clarkson for the West. For the East, I mean, you could probably go. I can't give you one out of the East right now. I haven't sat down and really thought about it. But the West for sure would be Jordan Clarkson. So to me, I think that would be something interesting to add for the NBA to make things a little bit more interesting for the All-Star game.
Would that be fan generated, or is that writers, or is that coaches? Who's picking it?
Honestly, I would think you'd make it a mixture. You would make it a mixture. That would make it as even as possible to make it a mixture. Because if you put up the coaches, they're going to pick their guy. You put it to players, they're going to pick guys that nobody's even heard of. If you saw what happened when players vote for it. They had Zaza Pachulia one year.
Yeah, I remember Zaza. I remember that.
And if you put it up to just fans, you put up that one demographic or one area, it would just be awful. So.
I mean, I like the idea. I would just like for however the governing body that's going to pick it, that it's controlled somehow so that we don't run into another Zaza type issue. Or I mean, I kind of like your idea. I kind of think about the like the DH, having a universal DH. I like the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it spices things up. And this year, what's funny is they're doing all these events on one day. So I'm trying to figure out how early they're going to start doing all these events in one day. One, and secondly, I honestly don't think they should be having an All-Star game to begin with. But that's out of my hands. That's not my decision.
Right.
But I don't think they should be having one.
I think that was it was a talking it was a topic that you and Brian were discussing a day ago or a few days ago, and I know personally I was like, I think this is a bad idea, but it's money, it's TNT pays a heck of a lot of money to the NBA for that product because it's All-Star weekend. I think it's totally crazy to have all of that within one day. But just like you said, I mean, I guess it's going to, like with all the skills competition and everything else like that. What time is it starting? Like 11 o'clock in the morning?
Might start at breakfast. Hey, we'll be doing today. Hey, breakfast and skills game. Let's go. So, I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I don't think it should happen, but hey, it's not my decision, and I mean, I'm pretty sure people will still be watching. But honestly, with me, I don't really watch the All-Star game a lot anyway, so it's not going to bother me in terms of what I watch on TV. Honestly, the funny thing I just thought about, I said about, hey, we eating breakfast and watching the game. It's actually all going down on Sunday. So what we're gonna have church service and the All-Star skills competition at the same time.
Come on.
Right, I have Kirk Franklin playing over the sound system while they.
It's a joke. It's really a joke. I don't want to say it's in bad taste. I really don't want to say it's in bad taste because, like I said, I know it's about money and it's a money grab. And there was no All-Star game last year, right?
No, there was an All-Star game last year, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It was there. It was there.
I don't think so.
No, there wasn't. You're right. There wasn't.
So I guess they're saying, well, no All-Star game last year. It can't be another no All-Star game this year. But I do think it's in poor taste. And I think also that you can't really sit here and talk about health and wellness and everything else like that when that's really not the case.
Yeah, talking out of both sides of your neck at this point.
And not a good look for Adam Silver.
Yeah, he's kind of in a tough spot. He's kind of like, okay, I want this, but then I want this too. And I'm like, it's like either way it goes, he's not going to make somebody happy. So, I don't. He's in a tough spot, but of course, you are the commissioner. You do get paid to make these decisions, so that's what it is.
I mean, but the real idea is, and this is something that I've gone back and forth with Danny over. Adam Silver works for the NBA for the billionaires, so he can only push so far.
Right.
If this is what they want, he's their person that they push out there to be the mouthpiece.
Right.
So it's tough.
Yeah, he's I'll say this. He's much less of a Manchurian candidate than Roger Goodell is.
Yes.
I call Roger Goodell the Manchurian candidate, and people crack up when I tell them that. And I'm like, look, he is not the one, and he gets a lot of hate from a
He
lot of
does.
fans. And the thing is, you're hating the wrong person. The owners told him to say this,
Yeah.
not Roger Goodell. But I've tried to say this, I don't know how many times to people, but they still go right over it and say, but it's Roger Goodell. He could say this, he could say that. I'm like, not when they're paying him millions of dollars.
Paying him
He's
like
going to trot himself out there and say what they told him to say.
Mike. He's getting paid upwards of $50 million a year.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
He's their puppet.
Right. That's true.
It was almost as cringeworthy, Mike, as when he released the Black Lives Matter video last year, when it looked like he was in his basement and he was like, and Black lives do matter. And I want to let you know. And I was just like, man, you done put the big homie Roger Goodell in a bad situation.
Man, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, oh boy. I just did. This is my exact reaction when I saw that. That was my exact reaction when I saw that. It just was. I was like, you gotta be kidding me! Come on, man.
Come on, man. I'm like, come on, Roger. Roger, we love you.
Go home, Roger.
You're sitting there and I don't know, but I think if you think about it, in our jobs, in our daily jobs, we get put in funny situations too, at times.
That's true.
Where we gotta shuck and jive a little bit to get through whatever the situation is or the problem is, and then after the fact, you're like, "Whew, man, I'm glad that was over." And you go back to checking the boxes. Hey, I do have a question for you. If you could let me know your thoughts on, there was an article that was released that the NFL is looking for 100% price increase with the current networks for their new contracts. So like ESPN pays $1.9 billion, they're asking for $3.8 billion. Fox and CBS and NBC pay about $1 million, so they're looking at $1 billion. They're looking at $2 billion annually. Do you think that's going to hold up, or like? I know football is king, but that's a crazy increase.
I'll say this: all it takes is I'm gonna show you one specific number that's going to solve all of this. The number one. All it takes is one person to agree to that, and all the dominoes will fall. Gotcha. It won't even be you've got a Fox, you got a CBS, and NBC. NBC only does Sunday Night Football, but I'm guarantee you, if Fox or CBS would decide, hey, we're not going to pay that, I guarantee you NBC step right in, pay that money, and bring all the NFL back to the NBC like it used to be back when I was a kid. Gotcha. I think it's, a lot of money and a lot to ask, but they're trying to make up money, one. And secondly, they know the demand and what the NFL brings to each and every television across the nation and outside of the United States. They know what that brings. They know what the product brings, and they can just post the numbers of the Super Bowl commercials and things like that, where they had a down year and they still almost reached 100 million people watching the game.
Right.
If a down year is 100 million people watching the game, I'm pretty sure a network will pay for that. I think it was, it's a bold statement for them to make, however, but it's a statement they can make knowing that the product they bring is going to bring all the people. No matter if people say they're not watching the NFL or anything like that, trust me, people are doing this. They're closing one eye and they're watching the NFL out of the other.
Yes.
So that's why I'm like, okay, it's a pretty bold decision, but they're going to get their money because, people love watching the NFL. They love watching the NFL no matter how much they talk about it and talk about how they don't like this, don't like that, don't like the other. I mean, it's almost like your rival. You don't want your rival to win, but you don't really care about your rival, so to say, but you're watching them out of the corner of your eye to make sure your team's doing better than what they are. The same kind of thing there. So yeah, definitely it's an interesting concept, interesting, statement for them to make, and a bold statement. But I think in the end they'll get their money.
So, Mike, follow-up question. You're going to be the CEO of Disney. How much do you push back on 3.8 billion per year versus how much focus do you put on the ability to flex some of these horrible games on the schedule?
Well, that can definitely be negotiated, I would say. I would the one thing I look at there is I would like them to start flexing games after week 8.
Okay.
So that part can be negotiated. I think if they give that money, they're going to have somewhat of a power to be able to switch those games and negotiate that with the NFL, because the NFL showed this year. A lot of people are talking about them making it through the season and those type of things, but the NFL showed this year one thing that nobody talks about. They showed the ability to flip games during a week, in which they had never done that before until this year. So, with that being said, the Disney knows they have that ability. So if they pay that money, they're going to be like, hey, well, we need you to do this too, and we know you can do it because we saw you do it during this past season.
Okay. One more related question, and then because I'm just really interested in your insight. So there's always been talk about Thursday Night Football. How would you sell Thursday Night Football? Would you just give it to like the streaming services, or would you, because it just seems so saturated and like diluted, where you're going to have it on NFL Network and Amazon and Fox, and like if you're Fox, like how are you really happy with something like that? I mean, yeah, you got something for 3 hours a night for that specific night, but like the deal just doesn't seem fair.
Well, it doesn't seem fair in the sense that you can't start any fall shows really at that time. But for those 3 hours, it definitely does bring them more views than what they probably were getting.
Okay.
Also, I would say the thing I would say that they may want to look into, as opposed to them, worrying about the game and what's a good game and what's that, they need to continue to find ways to make it more fan interactive. If you make a game fan interactive more in terms of, being at home as well as in the stadium, you'll have more viewers. That's for the marketing teams and things like that to come up with. To be honest, I mean, there's plenty of different things you can think of. It's just a matter of does the NFL want to come out of the Stone Age in some of the way they think, or do they want to continue to force this bad product that we get on Thursday nights every single time? Honestly, here would be my thinking, and just hear me out.
Okay.
I wouldn't want Thursday night football. I would cancel Thursday night football. I would move Thursday night football to Saturday night football. Here's why I would move it to Saturday night. I know college football is going on and things like that. I understand that. There's a lot of bad matchups in college football on Saturday night too. Nobody ever talks about that. But there is a lot of bad matchups that happen on Saturday night college football. Why not move it to either Saturday night or Friday night or somewhere of that nature? Let them have the stage. And I believe players wouldn't be as upset playing on Thursday nights if they move the games to Saturday. I believe players would not be as upset because it's just literally one day.
Right.
And, it would be the bright lights. They get the bright lights. Sunday, they get an additional day off for the next week as well. So, definitely there wouldn't be as many complaints about the game being on a different day. They moved it to Saturday night. Call it Saturday night prime time, whatever they want to call it. move it to Saturday. Just like just like borrowing from the NBA model, because the NBA just started doing the Saturday night primetime games. They've got the Heat and the Lakers tonight.
Right.
They started doing that. Why not borrow from them and learn from other different arenas and try something different? I mean, you could do that, and that I would change up a lot of things, and that would make the product better to me, as well as appease the players who hate playing on that quicker turnaround.
I like the idea, and I think it also adds the opportunity to flex that specific game because those Thursday night games are really unflexible. You're kind
Right,
of just stuck. And
exactly.
I can't tell you, like as a fan, so I would get home from work and I would say, okay, either you're jazzed up on, hey, this is going to be the game tonight, or you're like, man, this is going to be a real terrible night, terrible evening. It's a bad matchup. I don't want to see it. And you watch it for like maybe 10, 15, maybe 30 minutes.
Right.
I like the Saturday night because I do like I think it's week 15 and 16 or week 16 and 17 when they do the Saturday and Sunday games. I'm going to go with you. Would you say one Saturday game or two Saturday games?
Just one. Just one. You don't want to get too many. I would say you may want to go to a couple games or 2 or 3 games as it gets towards the end of the season. I would keep that format there at the end of the season. Keep Thanksgiving Day game. I would probably cut it down to maybe 2 games on Thanksgiving. Just the Lions playing their game and the Cowboys playing their game. Keep that on Thursday. Have a game on Saturday, and then the rest of the games on Sunday. I would get rid of having the additional game, or honestly, I would get rid of the tradition of having the Lions play on Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yes. I'm all for getting rid of them playing on Thanksgiving. All for it. Some Lions fans are probably cussing me out right now, but I don't care.
Eh, they like I said, they haven't had too much to write home about, and now with their quarterback gone, it's just even worse.
Right.
Nah, I hear you. I like that idea.
And
Um,
if the NFL is listening, they can actually find me on Twitter at MikePatton82, and they can kind of offer me a job
they
to do their
should.
marketing if they want.
They should. I'm serious because there's so many things that could be done so much better. Like I used to watch NFL Network when it was NFL AM. So like what the show that preceded Good Morning Football, and it was pretty bad. And I would wake up 6 o'clock in the morning because I'd be getting ready for work, and by like 7:30 they're re-looping the show again, and it was just horrible. But I guess from my perspective is if they can catch lightning in a bottle again and put together some personalities for more shows, kind of like Good Morning Football, to talk about the brand and that the players are all in on, players and coaches and everything else like that. There's so much they can do with this. Mike,
I've got another idea for them.
oh, go ahead.
All right, and I'm going to shout out to Kelsey Nicole Nelson. She does a show for the Washington football team called The Fit. Talks about the clothing that the players are wearing, going to games, things like that.
Okay.
I think that the NFL Network should go get Kelsey and bring her to the NFL Network and have her do a show called The Fit or something of that nature to actually promote different things outside of football for the players. I think if you bring those elements outside of football to the NFL Network, I think that would make a great show or a great element to have for them. So they don't have to continue to loop the same thing over and over again. Like give you an example. They had to loop the Carson Wentz trade. They looped that over and over and over and over again the day it happened.
Mm.
I was losing my mind. I was like, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to change the channel. I can't do it. But what they could do, run a banner across the bottom of the screen, talk about it a few minutes as breaking news, then go back to your regular scheduled program.
Gotcha.
Then you have the fit program, which I talked about with Kelsey. Then you have bring different bring have a different one-on-one sessions with players. May not be the best player on the team, but have different one-on-one sessions with players. Don't make them just like segments. I know they have an NBA life, I mean NFL life with different players and Hall of Famers and things like that. But bring that to a different level. Bring that to the here and the present. You know, somebody said, "Sir, stop taking drugs." That's funny. That's funny. No, I'm not taking drugs. I'm taking life in. So, but I mean, honestly, there's plenty of ideas. I mean, it's just honestly if the NFL wants to jump into those ideas, or do they want to continue going down the same path? I mean,
Well,
honestly, I've got plenty of ideas that they could use, but of course they'd have to pay me to use those.
but Mike, think about it from the NFL's perspective. These networks are printing money. They
Mm-hmm.
went through a season. They're printing money. These networks are printing money. They're giving them billions of dollars. That money is then getting spread across the pot, to all the different billionaires. Does it make sense, or does it make sense for the NFL to license out like blocks of hours? Kind of like how. So I'm thinking of it how kind of like PBS works.
Okay,
How
gotcha.
PBS
NFL
works
is
where
baseball, not football. That's a good one. But
so what I was thinking was how PBS works. Like none of those shows, or most of those shows or hosts, they don't work for PBS, but they license out the time.
right, right. That's a good point. I'd like to, yeah, I'd like to definitely. That's a good point. That's a good point. I could see that one happening too. That would be really really good to have that happen too. Yeah, license. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea.
I'm
I like
telling you,
that.
man. I mean, I don't have the ideas you have, but collectively, this is what we do. We get you in front of the NFL. You take 80%, I'll take 20% of new innovative ideas. Because I mean, here's the other thing. Everyone has most of the people have a 4K TV because now it's at a price that most people can afford. If you got a 4K TV, you got your recliner, you got your frosty mug. Tell me about how does that go against the in-game experience? Because the in-game experience is like a once in a lifetime deal. It's a special event.
Mm-hmm.
How do you compare? How do you compare the two? How do you get the fans into the arena versus the fans that are watching on TV? Like what are the fans in the arena, I mean at the stadiums, receiving that we aren't receiving at home?
Well, the one thing they're receiving is you got the smell of the arena, you got the hearing the sneakers, it's kind of squeak, you've got the noise, all those type of things. You're hearing those at home, but you're hearing them at a filtered version.
Okay.
One thing I would say is you can actually I thought about something. Of course, with the how TVs are getting bigger and better and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
you can always create a virtual experience for a game. I get a perfect example. Hold on, just thought about it.
Okay.
Got an idea. All right. You know how I mean, of course, right now it's not a good idea because we're in a pandemic. But as soon as we're out of the pandemic, and things go back to some sense of normalcy, because it's never going to be the same normal again. People can scrap that. But what I can say is this: why don't NBA teams make deals with the movie theaters? Here's what I've got: And the comment was going right down the alley I was going. It says VR for virtual reality.
Right.
For the fans that cannot afford tickets to the games and
Okay.
actually be there live at the games, you can make a deal. Why don't the NBA teams make deals with theaters? And what you can do, or NFL teams too, make deals with theaters. You can pay X amount of dollars. You can bring a bunch of people in there. It gets you snacks, gets you virtual reality glasses, everything. And it's almost like you're at the game in the first row watching the game. Now, that's a way you can actually make additional money. Heck, they can make additional money at the Super Bowl doing that too.
Right.
So that would be something I could think of. And the NBA could definitely boost off of that because the NBA doesn't have quite as many seats in an arena as the NFL does. So I could say the NFL could definitely, the NBA could definitely boost off of that. But that'd be an idea I have, just talking about virtual reality and making some things happen there.
And I like the fact that what you're offering is a controlled environment and a way to expand the game to the fan, because as we know, as we look at the problem, and I hate to bring this up, but as we look at the problem that baseball is having, baseball is aging out.
Right.
We're looking at how do we get I think that would be an idea to bring that you can use potentially to bring in the younger fans or the tech savvy fans that want to envision something like that. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I kind of think about remember when your movie theater converted over from the conventional to the nice leather seats, and then you can order food and all of this other stuff. It kind of enhances that environment, and I like the idea.
Gotcha. And one thing I also mentioned too, one thing about the Major League Baseball, I'll say, is they're not very intuitive when it comes to how to get more people at games. They try to do all these different things, but it's not reaching different demographics. It only reaches one specific demographic,
right?
And we all know what that demographic is. So, they're not going to reach. You're not going to reach the demographics you want, that you need to keep your game alive. The NBA and the NFL have done that. The Major League Baseball, no, they have not done that. They have not done a good job at it. And whoever is in their marketing department needs some help badly, very, very badly. And it just, it's like the game's going to continue aging out. I mean, honestly, I was kind of disappointed they didn't say just go ahead and do a DH in both divisions. I mean, both.
Totally. That should have been the easiest thing, but MLB and the Players Association, they can't get it together. They can't get anything together. It's I would say the most dysfunctional in all of sports. The fact that you can't make that call is too easy to make. So just extending the I was going to say it's about extending a player, their career, but it's really more level setting, because there's two different types of games.
Mm-hmm.
An NL manager has to manage the game. I'm not saying the AL manager doesn't have to deal with it, but to a much lesser degree.
I've got a comment here. It says the kids are not looking at TV. I've got something for that too.
Okay.
All right. Now you could have like you do now. You could have potentially a few things that you have that go through your iPad and things like that too, like your NFL Network and all those type of things. The Hamster Award. I have no idea what the Hamster Award is.
Ooh, but you just hit it big time.
I know. That's what I looked at. I was like, wow.
You just hit it big time, big dog.
Yeah. Wowie. Thank you, Bannerman. Thank you, Bannerman.
Thank you, Bannerman.
But yeah, just said the kids are not looking at TV. Yeah, the kids aren't looking at TV. I get that, but are the kids paying for TV? The millennials are paying for it because they're getting ready to come up. Gen Z and those type of people. Thanks, Banner Man. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that,
Good
Banner Man.
job, Banner Man. Good job.
And just I don't think that I don't think the kids, you have to worry about the kids, but you have to worry about just everyone else in terms of the grown people watching it. Grown people stay on the move a lot, which of course that's why you got the NFL Network app. You can watch games on there.
Right.
But one thing I would also mention is the NFL Network app they need the option of paying for games you want to see too. So if you're on the move, you could pay for games because the thing is, if you're in an area, so like I'm here in Tennessee, I'm gonna catch the Tennessee Titans game. I'm pretty sure, but say I want to watch the San Francisco 49ers play. I can't watch that game. I can see the highlights, but I can't watch that game. I know there's different areas or different places you can watch it, but the thing is, the NFL Network can offer maybe a package for the whole season. You could watch your team on your app at all times at a very affordable price, and then offer something different, like maybe you can get the press conferences and things like that after the game through your app too, or something of that nature to kind of distinguish it and make it different. And by the way, thank you, Pablo, for the Appreciate You Award, man. You want to come in and talk to sports with us, Pablo? We can. We can switch NBA if you want to. Or we can talk baseball, talk about them Dodgers trying to repeat as champions.
Hey, I just want to piggyback off of what you were saying, that I think this is the last year that DirecTV is going to solely have Sunday Ticket. So I think what you were just talking about is going to come into fruition. I'm thinking the NFL, because the NFL is about making money, they're going to make the package available. If you're a cable provider, they're going to make it available to you. And then it's on that specific cable provider to turn around. Well, you know what? I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, but I think it's on that cable provider to get creative. And now we're not talking XFL. Come on, man. Which iteration of XFL? But I think it's Mike. I think it's on the cable provider to then make that specific game of the packages of games available to their subscribers. That's something else I don't think it's hard to do. You build it out through tiers, and you can come up with it.
Here's what I would say on that. Why not take it out of their hands and own it yourself? Why not say, hey, if you're not going to do it, you're going to drag your feet on it. Hey, we have this specific thing we can do. You want to take a look at what we have and see if we can work something out. Maybe I don't make all the revenue, but I'm at least going to make some revenue more than this. And for the Talk XFL, Rod, he hate me smart. Gotta love that name. But but yeah, what if you could split the revenue at that point? That would make at least decision or consider that perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think NFL needs to do something similar to what the NBA is doing, kind of like, hey, if you want the last couple of minutes of a game, or if there's a specific team that you're interested in, they just I'm sure it's hard, but it's not really that hard. I just think if you have the right team behind you to sit down and say, okay, how do we figure this out? How do we, get some fans in a room? We've heard so much about polling, right? You poll some fans. What do the fans need? Hey, I live in Pittsburgh, but my team is in New Orleans. What do we do for something like that? And like I said, I don't think it's easy. It's an easy thing, but if you put a group of people together, you can come up and slice it up. Now, granted, you want something like this, it's going to cost you a little bit more,
Right.
because you want it carved up and you want it customized. So don't think that, hey, okay, I have DirecTV and I pay $350 a year, but I only want to see one team. It might cost you $90 or $100.
Well, here's the thing I would say with that one. There are plenty people that watch the NFL that have a specific favorite team, but there are also people that have a specific favorite player. And sometimes the favorite player and the favorite team are on two different teams. So you could host a 2 or 3 package right there, and that would make it work too.
No, I think that would definitely work. I tell you this much: they need creative minds in their back office, in their marketing teams, in their I think they could generate so much more money by listening to people. I mean, granted, you would make your own decision. The NFL would make its own decision, but if you listen to people, you might be able to pull some ideas. And like you said, you carve it up, you're going to create more money.
Right.
I don't know. I just got a funny take on it. I just don't know why it's taken so long. Number one, but I think that was due to the fact that DirecTV had that exclusive contract. But what were you about
That's
to
true.
say?
I said that's true. Yeah, that could potentially be part of what's taking so long.
Mike, I
You're
did
right.
that for 1 year. For one season, I purchased the Sunday ticket, and I was so disappointed in the Sunday ticket. And after that, I just said, all I need is red zone. All you really need is red zone, and you're good. So, hey, Bannerman is chiming in. He says the problem is the NFL has lost touch with the average fan. They still don't understand fans make the game. Roger is out of touch with the true NFL fan.
Can I
That's just
can
his
I
view.
address that one?
Say it again?
Can I address that one?
Yeah. If
You know,
put it on the
we just
screen.
okay. Hold on. We just talked about that one, didn't we?
Yes.
And how did you? Didn't you? You knew it was coming.
You knew it
You
was
knew it
coming.
was coming. And honestly, I knew it was coming too. The problem, but the thing is, it isn't Roger that's making these rules. It is the owners, man.
You
The
got the
owners are
billionaires.
making a lot of these decisions. Roger Goodell is only the mouthpiece of these decisions. He's not the one that's making them and keeping them there. And no, he's not the one doing that. He's the one that's just repeating what they have asked him to say, and essentially. And I think they do understand the fans make the game. They haven't really lost touch with the average fan, honestly, because if you look at the numbers, no, they don't. If you look at the numbers, then no, they haven't lost touch with the average fan. The place that has lost touch with the average fan though is Major League Baseball. They've lost touch maybe like 5 years ago, 5 or 10 years ago. But
I got to tell you, I'm impartial to this because I love the MLB. I love going to baseball games. My dad and I, well, we didn't go last year, and we probably won't go this year. But there's nothing better than going there and spending the day, and you just, there's the game aspect of it, but then there's a conversation, or there's this conversation amongst fans, which is, I don't want to say is different for, attending a football game, and maybe it's because of the warmer weather or whatever the case is. I love MLB, but they got major problems because
major,
the fans are aging out, and MLB is even worse off than NFL because Fortnite having a Fortnite competition at the stadium to try to drive the youngsters to be interested in baseball, that's not the answer.
mm-hmm. Right. I'll say this.
It's not the answer. You're
I'll
not
say
getting
this.
millennials.
another smart idea that Major League Baseball, not Major League Baseball, but NFL could do. And you just talked about Fortnite, and that's a pretty popular game. And it's very popular among just athletes in themselves. Why not have an athlete competition with Fortnite, put it on the NFL Network? That bring the younger generation there too.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Just a thought. But yeah, I could definitely do something like that. But yeah, just addressing Bannerman's question. He said he's lost touch. I don't think he's necessarily lost touch. I mean, because the numbers suggest that they haven't. But as far as a true NFL fan, the thing is with the true NFL fan, the NFL is not necessarily worried about the true NFL. The NFL is worried about the fan that just is the fly by night fan. They're trying to get those fans in seats. They know the average NFL fan is going to still be there, no matter how much they complain or argue or get mad, sad, whatever. They know the average NFL fan is going to be there. They're worried about getting the casual fan into the game, buying merchandise, things like that. So, while it may seem that way, Bannerman, and, I will say that it's more the owners than you would say Roger Goodell, because Roger Goodell is the Manchurian candidate. I'll repeat that again. But, just basically, it's about getting the casual fan in the stand. That's why you see all the different things that happen in terms of when you go to the game and you see a fan experience. A lot of times the true NFL fan is not interested in an interview or what's going on the scoreboard in terms of like pick which one has got the prize up under it or something. No, the average NFL fan is not interested in that. The average, but the casual fan, that keeps their attention right there. I mean, everything has to do with marketing. That's the one thing that the NFL understands. Everything has to do with marketing, for better or for worse. Has to do with marketing. NBA understands that to an extent as well. Major League Baseball is still trying to find the forest out of it, try to find their way out of the forest there.
When do you think it will get back to normal in the stadiums?
That's going to be a while. That's probably not going to be it at the best. That would be the end of the year. At the best, that's at the extreme best. It would be the end of the year to me, in my opinion. But
Mike and Bannerman, I say 2022.
That's the more likely thought.
2022.
That's the more likely thought from my end as well. But at the best, it would be the end of the year. At the worst, it's going to be 2022. So I agree with you. I agree with you.
Would you say, so let's just say at the end of the year, or as it's getting towards playoff time, and they're allowing 35% or 45 or 50% into the stadium, would you count yourself as one of those people that will be willing to go to the stadium?
Not sure I would at that point. And honestly, if I'm going to the stadium and I'm going to a game, more than likely I'm going to be in a certain spot where not a lot of people are.
Okay.
And you know what that spot is?
Press box.
There you go.
Press box.
So
I got you.
So yeah, that's where I would probably be. Of course, today and tomorrow, FCS football starts for spring. So, definitely. He said Bannerman said he would not. So I agree. If I had to be in the seats and doing 35, 40%, no, I would not be there. I agree with you, Bannerman.
A little dangerous, right? It's
yeah. It is, and but. Of course, you have some that have their opinions this way, some of their opinions that way, and that's just the world we live in, for better or for worse.
I don't want to bring up masking or this or any of those hot topics that drive people crazy, and that we've seen over the past 11 months just totally drive the world crazy, because we've seen enough on the internet, people trying to get into stores without masks and getting shoved to the ground and all of that type of stuff. I'm just like next week, they're opening Barclays Center in Brooklyn for, I think, 25% capacity. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not interested I'm not the slightest bit moved by that. Dude, I haven't even been. Listen, I haven't even been to church in like 11 months. So it's just. I think for me, it's like, all right, let's follow the science. Let's follow what's safe, and let's continue to press on. When no one's saying, hey, you got to hang out and hide in your house, but you just got to be smart. You got to be smart. So when I hear these numbers, and like for the Super Bowl, I got to tell you, I was shocked. It was like 30,000 people there, wasn't it?
I don't think it was quite 30,000 people. I think the thing that kind of fooled a lot of that kind of fooled a lot of people was there was a lot of cardboard cutouts in the stands as well.
Oh,
That
okay.
kind of threw a lot of things off. It threw me off at first. I was like, wow, it's a lot of people. And then I looked again, I was like, oh, it's cardboard cutouts. So that can throw you off a little bit. But definitely it was a good little bit of people. And then when you go outside, I mean, it was almost like Party City
Right.
outside. But, I was like, wowie, okay, but that's their prerogative to do what they want to do. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily the most ideal thing at this point in time in our country, but essentially people are going to do what they're going to do for better or for worse.
No, I agree. I agree, and I'm with everyone on it. I just saw those numbers, and I thought I heard it was like 25 to 30,000 people, and I know like the governor down there is kind of loose with letting people into sporting events and having sporting events. Um, I just thought about just the overall danger of where we are, and that's why I say you compare that to sitting in front of your 4K and soon to be 8K TV. What is Bannerman saying? Super Bowl was a home game crowd before COVID for Tampa, but with COVID, nobody really had a home field advantage, right? I don't
That's
know.
true. That's true. To be honest, I mean, the only thing I would say is outside the stadium, you probably had a lot more Tampa Bay fans, but in the stadium, you probably had an evenness about it. There was a guy that I knew that was at the game actually, and he was actually a guy I did an article on. He was up for the number one fan in the NFL. He actually won it for the Titans, and he actually won it for the NFL. His name's Brandon Galloway. So he actually is he. There's the first year I think the NFL had it, and he is the first winner of it.
He's
So
the
the
number
first
one fan of the year.
number one fan of the year for the NFL, he won the award. So he actually talked about it. He got a trophy for it, which they asked him if he wanted to take the trophy home with him and carry it home, on the plane, or if he wanted to, um, have them to ship it to him. He's like, hey, ship it to me because I'm gonna have to pay for the bags, and
Right.
so, but yeah, they paid for him to be there at the game. And he actually they paid for him to be at the game. They gave him the Titans are paying for his season tickets for this year.
Okay.
They're giving him 2 additional tickets for this year that they're paying for too.
So, how many games did he go to last year? What I'm just
He
trying to
went to, he
understand.
went to some when they allowed. When they allowed, he went to some of those games. He
Okay.
was actually there. He's got pictures up there being masked up at the games. So he actually was at the games when he was able to go to them. So yeah, he's but the biggest thing with him is he actually did this not because he wanted to win the competition. Well, obviously he entered the heater. They send stuff to him all the time, but he's a season ticket holder there, so he sees all these competitions. But he wanted to shine a light on being mentors because he's a mentor. He works for the state in terms of mentoring kids and correction, stuff like that. So he does a lot of things like that. So that was his biggest thing, his biggest reason why he even wanted to enter the competition.
Hey, Mike, you got a question from Bannerman.
Yep. Let me put it up real quick. Hold on. Let's see. There it goes. I'm putting it up on the screen. Like Green Bay, Tampa don't win. I think with the stadium packed in the frozen tundra. That's a good point. That's a good point there, Bannerman. I would say they potentially could still win that game. However, with the frozen tundra and the loudness there, that could have definitely changed it. That could have definitely changed the outcome of the game potentially. But that's something we'll never know. We can't live in the ifs or the whats or the whys going backwards in time, unfortunately. But it definitely could have potentially changed that game. I agree there. You got any thoughts there, Ted?
Nah, I don't think they stand a chance with 70,000 fans in the frozen tundra screaming at them. I mean, Brady is Brady. Don't get me wrong. He's the greatest of the great in football, but that's a hard sell for me. I think that was the one game that I did not put a bet on. So I bet on Tampa throughout the playoffs because I listened to Bannerman, I listened to Bucko, I listened to a bunch of Tampa Bay fans, and that was the one game I was like, nah, I'm not putting money on this. And I had a couple of people hit me up talking about, come on, let's take the short money, and I was like, nah, I can't. I really can't do it. No, thank you. I tapped out. But what was gonna say to you? What do you foresee for? What do you foresee for? I guess this summer. Do you see 50% capacity? Do you foresee what? What do you really?
This summer, you mean talking about going back to NFL?
Going back to NFL.
NFL, I don't see 50% capacity.
Okay.
I don't see it 50% capacity. I see maybe I go with maybe 25 to 30. And as the season goes on, it potentially could ramp up.
Okay.
I could see that potentially.
You think at any given point the NFL jumps in there and just says, you know what, we're going to just order the vaccine for all of our players and coaches
Nope.
and and be a PR nightmare?
Nope. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that because essentially they're not going to have people, one, jump in line. Two, they're not going to take away those people's rights to have to make that decision for themselves. Now, I may feel they should need to do it, but the other person may feel person next to me may be like, okay, cool. I don't want to take it. So, essentially, that's a decision that they have to make. The person has to make on their own. I mean, I personally, that's just what they feel, and that's what it is. You can't necessarily twist anybody's arm to make it. Just, to take it is just I want them to be not near me, if they, but that is what it is. Oh, you got a statement here. It said the Bills had the most fans in the game all 2020 season against the Chiefs, and it didn't matter. Yeah, because it's the Chiefs. It's not going to matter anywhere. Except for Tampa Bay, but hey, that's another story. But thanks for the comment. Is it Big Maine?
Big Maine.
All right.
How much of that AFC Championship was the moment being just too big for the Bills, or versus the Chiefs being the Chiefs?
I'll say this: that was that. I don't know if the moment was too big for the Bills, but what it did was it exposed an issue they've had all season long. They have no running game, and I knew they weren't going to win that game. And honestly, they made it further than what I thought they would without a running game, because you in the playoffs, you have to be able to chew up clock. You have to be able to run the football, and you have to have a diversified offense. If you do not have that, you will not win a championship. As we saw with Kansas City, they in the championship game, the Super Bowl, they didn't really use the running game the entire game. You see the Tampa Bay, they did use the running game, hence the win, hence them blowing them out with the defense and the running game. You got to have those two things. I'm not saying you got to have an all-star defense, but you just got to have a decent defense that's, competent out there. Yeah, somebody said, Big Man said, I really like the Bills, but they need a running game. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
That's why they need to go check out that guy in Alabama and hope he drops to them. That would be Mr. Najee Harris. Yes.
So, would you say Josh Allen overperformed, or this past season? Like, do you feel like he tried to do too much with his legs?
I would say this. I'm not going to say he did try to do too much with his legs. I think he honestly did what all he could do. I think he definitely improved in terms of his accuracy and things like that. But in the end, he definitely played a great season. He definitely stepped up his game. It's just going to be interesting to see next season if he's able to keep that type of level of accuracy and ability out there, and if they're able to bring in a running game that makes things easier for him. And of course, I see another comment from Big Man. I'm sorry. It says, I don't like to admit it, but Josh Allen better overall QB than Lamar Jackson. I can't necessarily say that at this point, be honest.
Is it still too early for you?
What's that?
Is it still too early for you?
I'm not going to say that because I'm like, Josh Allen, for as great as he is, I don't think he won an MVP. Lamar Jackson did. But, as far as that team, he has an all-star wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. I think if you put Stephon Diggs with the Lamar Jackson, you'd find some magic happening too. But, I get it in terms of the accuracy, and people like to talk about Lamar Jackson. He runs the ball too much. He does this and does that. But people often really forget that when he was a freshman at Louisville, he ran a lot. But when he had the weapons his junior year at Louisville, his sophomore or junior year, I can't remember which one, but he was throwing some great passes. I think if you give him a weapon on the outside and put people in their proper positions, I think he'll get better. And another thing that hinders him, that would be his offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. And you know the other place we saw Greg Roman at? Other two places I'll give you.
49ers?
Yep. Where else?
Greg Roman, man.
Buffalo.
Where at?
Buffalo.
Okay.
So in the 49ers, when he was the quarterback coach, not the quarterback coach, offensive coordinator out there, honestly, Colin never got better. And and honestly, you wonder he was definitely he could throw the football, things like that. But the thing is, you wonder, does he really grow quarterbacks, or is he just stubborn in what he does? Because honestly, if you go to San Francisco, you go to Buffalo, and then you go to Baltimore. When has he ever made a quarterback better? You can't name it.
No.
He just runs his system, runs it, and then boom, it's done. And no, he wasn't with the Panthers. I don't think he was with the Panthers, Big Man. Nah, he wasn't with the Panthers. But honestly, I don't think Lamar Jackson gets better until Greg Roman leaves. I don't think he gets better until he leaves.
I've been hearing some things about Deshaun Watson to the Panthers.
No.
Is that just random talk?
That's not going to happen, I don't think.
I can't see how it would happen.
I'll give you why it won't happen to me. And once again, I said it on Thursday when I was talking to Cortland. But I'll point out the reason why I think he won't be going to Carolina. And let's see, hold on, I'm trying to think who was Cam had as OC his what year? MVP year.
MVP year?
I can't remember. I think it was Norv Turner. I think he had, but I'm not for sure. But anyway, here's the thing with the Panthers. And I got to give all credit to Nashina Quick Nashina Quick is the one that put this out there in terms of talking about a reason why he probably will not land as the Carolina Panthers. First, he has a no trade clause. Secondly, he's from Georgia. What other quarterback in the NFL that played for the Carolina Panthers is from Georgia? That'd be
Yeah.
Cameron Jarrell Newton. And
Yep.
Cameron Jarrell Newton and Deshaun Watson are cool. They're tight.
Okay.
The Deshaun Watson, you can't say he didn't see how Cam was treated when he left and the mass ball of confusion that was.
You're right.
So do you really think that Deshaun Watson is going to accept a trade to the Carolina Panthers and waive his no trade clause to go play for an organization that he feels or that that did Cam Newton the way that they did him when he was leaving? I honestly think the answer is no, and I'm going to trust and believe in what Nashina Quick tells me because she covers the team. She would know way better than what I would, and I'm going to give all credit to her at this point. And I will say I don't see him ever donning a Carolina Panthers uniform, and that is why.
There's another question down there.
Oh, said you think the Panthers doing by not giving him another year? I will say this. I'm gonna put that on the screen real quick. All right, let's see. As far as that one, do you think Panthers doing Teddy Bridgewater dirty by not giving him another year? No, I don't think they're not doing him dirty. I don't think they're doing him dirty. Honestly, he does have another year on his contract. With I think he'll be there unless they trade him for another quarterback. But if they draft a quarterback, he'll be there for that next year and then he'll be done. The thing with Teddy is I rooted for Teddy and I want Teddy to do well, but Teddy just didn't come through when they needed him. Now I sat and listened to a podcast, Quick Blitz last night with Nashina Quick and Vashti Hurt, who is of the Carolina Blitz. And I listened to that podcast and they talked about Teddy. I mean, I didn't know that Teddy only had his career high was last year with the Carolina Panthers, but he only beat his career high by 1 touchdown, which is 15 touchdowns in a year.
Yeah.
Then he had 11 interceptions, I believe, which is his most since his rookie or second year. Then, I kind of went back and, they talked about how when he had chances, that defense gave him chances to win games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they gave him a ton of chances, but when they did give him chances to win games, I went back and looked at some of the things they were talking about in terms of not finishing games, and Teddy didn't finish games. So, or win when he had chances to win those games. So, I can definitely see why they're not, as high on him being their quarterback next year. And I potentially could see them drafting a quarterback or just going with Teddy for one more year and then drafting a quarterback at that. And as far as doing them dirty, I don't think they're necessarily doing them dirty. It just is the cost of business, and for better or for worse, the cost of business. And somewhere, one way or another, somebody's going to get their feelings hurt, unfortunately. It's just how it is.
Barring the injury that he ran into, he'll be on his 4th team.
If he gets traded, he'll be on his 4th team. Yes,
he'll be on his 4th team in 5 years. Maybe 6.
About 5 or 6 years. Yes.
About 5 or 6 years. Unacceptable? Would you say that's unacceptable?
Well, at this point, he'd be wondering about if he's going to be a backup for the rest of his career at this point.
Right. I mean, and I think it's unfair to even include when he was the Jets, when the time he spent with the Jets, because it was kind of like he's on the team, he was an insurance policy, but
I didn't even include that because he didn't make it to the regular season, so I didn't even include that.
Oh, so you didn't even include the time with the Jets?
No, because if you include the time with the Jets, then he'd be, it would be the Vikings, Saints, Panthers, Jets, and then another team. So it'd be 5 teams in the span of like 6 or 7 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's Some quarterbacks have it. Some quarterbacks just don't have it.
It said my hit on him is this is Big Man. Let me put the comment up there. Let's
Okay.
see. Because he's talking about one of my quarterbacks I always take up for him.
Oh,
My hit on him is he's too conservative with his passing, taking the underneath route similar. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor. Man,
T-Mobile.
he always seems to get the short end of the stick every single place he goes to. He's like the backup that gets out of the way for the next starter for whatever many years.
Mm-hmm.
Every single place he goes to. I mean, look in Cleveland, he was the starter before Baker. Look in San Diego, Los Angeles, he was the starter before Justin Herbert. I mean, everywhere he goes, he is the starter before they find their franchise guy. So if anybody's looking for a franchise guy for their team and they're not sure it's in this draft and they don't get it, just bring Tyrod Taylor to the team, let him start out the season, and then you'll find him. He's just got that magic about him, I guess. But just unfortunate Tyrod Taylor just has not found his niche. He can actually throw the deep ball, but it seems like every team doesn't really allow him to do so as much. And then, of course, he had the pieces in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but it just didn't materialize because, of course, he got a lung injury or he had some ribs or something of that nature. And then the doctor messed up with the thing he was doing. So that just kind of threw his whole season for a tailspin, and there we go. So
some guys are bridge quarterbacks, and no pun intended. Would you even consider like Tyrod Taylor or a Teddy Bridgewater like a bridge quarterback? Like, hey, I'm going to use him for now until I find the guy.
I would say you could consider them a bridge starter at this point. They've been on a few teams, and it just hasn't worked out for them on whatever team. So I could consider them a bridge starter. I would say this though: if Teddy gets his chance next year to start for the Carolina Panthers, he could prove me all wrong. He could prove anybody wrong, and he could shut everybody up, and he could prove that we were wrong about him being a bridge quarterback. So he still has opportunity. I think for Tyrod Taylor, I think the ship is kind of sailed on him being a starting quarterback or being not a bridge quarterback. And then we've got another comment from us, Antoine. That is Mr. Atlanta. If you want to know anything about Atlanta sports, Antoine Smith has got you. He's got you. So I'm gonna put his comment on the screen real quick. By the way, Antoine, we're waiting on you to join HAPS. And if you go ahead and join HAPS, I can shoot you the link. Go ahead and join, please, sir. Let's see. He said Marcus Mariota is still a viable starter. Well, I've got some news on him too. The the New England Patriots have kind of I've heard his name mentioned with the New England Patriots.
Who, Mariota?
Yes. Oh. Yes. I've heard his name mentioned with the New England Patriots. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if he landed in New England? Now, that would be interesting in itself because, he showed a little bit of ability once he became the starter. Not the starter. Once he became once he came in for Derek Carr when Derek Carr was injured, he showed ability. He showed emotion I had never seen him show in all the years he was with the Tennessee Titans. Jumping up, talking to people, talking trash, showing emotion in the end zone. I was like, who is this guy? Did somebody replace him? I mean, it was interesting, and I would say he could potentially be a starter or get a starting quarterback nod somewhere, potentially in the right situation. Okay, we got another comment as well. It said I had 3 years end zone, front row watching Moon in the run and shoot. Moon was unbelievable. You know what's funny, Bannerman, is I've talked to Warren Moon about his playing days, and trust me, it is quite an interesting experience talking to Warren Moon. Who knows? Who knows? He may pop up on the Haps app one of these days. Who knows? So, as far as Warren is definitely a bad man. I can only imagine the damage he could do in this era playing quarterback. Let's see. Washington football team could use Bridgewater. Huh. Let's see. They could. They could use anybody right now. I mean, Taylor Heinicke. Then you got Alex Smith, and the rumors are that he wants to continue to play, but he's not sure he's going to be playing in Washington next year. So
Really?
that could be interesting as well. You say, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is the king of bridge QBs.
Boom.
I cannot disagree there.
Big man, you got that one.
Man, that is yes. I'm gonna have to love that comment. I'm gonna have to love that comment because that is completely honest right there. He has been on so many different teams.
He's gotten paid for being mediocre, and he must have played on at least 10 teams.
Yes, he has. He's played for the Rams, Dolphins. You see the Rams, Dolphins, Tampa Bay, the Bills, the Jets, Tennessee, Houston. Let's see, who else? Goodness gracious. He's played a lot of different places.
Smart as hell.
Man. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. I got, Bannerman said he's a dirty bird. Okay, dirty birds rule. Well, Bannerman, if you want to know anything about the Atlanta sports, I need you to follow Antoine Smitty Smith.
Yeah.
On Twitter, he's Fatboy Slim _21, or you can go to his Facebook and not Facebook. You can go to his YouTube. He does literally about he probably does about I would say probably about 7 videos a week on Atlanta sports and just sports in general.
So
great watch.
All Atlanta sports.
He's going to give you everything in Atlanta. And another thing to look at for Smitty. Smitty also does he also takes questions during the week, and he also does draft profiles on potential players for the Atlanta Falcons too. So he does it all. He does it all, and I thoroughly enjoy watching his YouTube page.
Mike, I'm
not even an Atlanta fan. I like watching it.
Which you may not know, Twan was on my show on Late Night Parents probably like 7 or 8 years ago. 7 or 8 years ago.
Man.
And we were talking
about. He could come on here and just make it a whole reunion if he wanted to, but you got to join the Habs app first, Antoine. Come on, man.
And we were talking about, tell me how relevant is this topic. We were talking about the Fritz Pollard alliance and how the Rooney Rule has failed. I will pull up the audio from about 7 or 8 years ago. We were debating that topic.
Gotcha. Well, we know it's failed. We're still looking at it right now. It's failed. But let's see. We've got Mariota, not better than Cam. Come on now. I would say this. I don't even know right now at this point. Depends on if there's a healthy Cam, and then Cam can revert back to who he used to be. I love Cam. I love Cam Newton. I will say that. But got another good spicy question here. Ooh, this is a good one. I'm gonna bring that up on the screen too.
Yeah, you got to bring that one up there.
Wow. Will the Steelers let Big Ben walk?
Never.
Well. You want to go first, or do you want me to go?
No, you grab it. You grab it.
Ben's number is about 40 some odd million this year. Goodness gracious, that's a huge number.
Wow.
Now, they're trying to negotiate to bring that number down, and Ben's like, yeah, sure, I'll bring it down. I'll do this, that, and the other. Well, the GM goes on the TV the other day and says, I'm not, or radio, and says, I'm not for sure. He basically, way he talked, he's not for sure they're bringing Big Ben back. Not only would Big Ben have to take a pay cut, but there's a lot of people on that team that would, just to give them cap space to sign people. So, yeah. So honestly, I can't say for sure he's going to come back next year. And honestly, I don't think he walks. If he doesn't come back to the Steelers, he's going to retire. To me, to be honest, if they let him walk or they release him, he's going to retire. He's 39 years old.
He's 39. If he was to retire, how much dead cap money of that $40+ million would they have to eat?
Well, the thing is, if he retires, they could probably do like the Saints did with Drew Brees, bring the cap number from 20-something million to 1 million, which is the veterans minimum.
Okay.
Because I mean, he's in retirement at that point. They could put him on the NFL reserve retired list, and it wouldn't necessarily count against the cap.
But
So that would.
wait, I'm slightly confused. I know there's a bunch of questions, comments, but is Breeze is not retired, isn't he? Is he? I thought I've seen all these news about him coming back for one more season.
He hasn't retired yet, but indications are he is going to retire. But even if he doesn't retire, he still adjusted his cap down to 1 million next year, which is the veteran minimum. So
would you ever see Big Ben doing that? Would you see him doing that?
I don't see Big Ben taking it down to 1 million, but he definitely should take a pay cut. He's making a lot of money for a guy that's pretty limited at his age at this point. Let's see.
Continue to hit the comments.
Let's see. Bannerman, Julio Jones played with my son at Foley High School. Huh. Wow. He said he's got some great Julio Jones high school stories. I bet you do. I bet you do. Wow. I mean, some Julio Jones stories. Bannerman, I'm almost tempted to bring you in here to talk about some Julio Jones stories. I really am. I really am, but I might want to hook you up with Antoine so Antoine can actually talk to you about some Julio Jones stories. I'm pretty sure that would be something that he would love. Said the Rooney Rule is a super joke. Just look at Philly and Jacksonville. Well, boy, the Rooney Rule. I think honestly, the more minorities get in the executive role, or the more we move towards ownership, that's when things will actually really change, in my opinion.
There was big talk, and like I said, I'm a fan. I watch TV. I'm not a journalist like you guys. The whole story with the enemy doesn't interview well. I think that's a crock. I think that's a crock.
Too.
I mean, come on. We got some great ones that just don't interview well. But how much of this is okay? We know the Rooney Rule is a mess, but how much is of this is the enemy being in the system that he is, having the quarterback that he has and the head coach he has, versus he doesn't interview well and blah blah blah?
Honestly, the way I look at it is I think if good things happen in Kansas City, they give the credit a lot to Andy Reid and what he's doing offensively and things like that. Now, bad things happen. You notice you've heard a little bit more, or if nothing, about Eric Bieniemy. Now, you'll hear either he was the issue, or you hear that Andy Reid was just arrogant with whatever was going on. But you don't hear as much about Eric Bieniemy off of one game. When you look at all the other different coaches that were out there that had bad games as offensive coordinators, i.e. the head coach of the 49ers, he had one bad game. He still got a head coaching job. So, there's a lot going on, and I think it's just foolishness. But honestly, I didn't want him to get the Houston head coaching job. I didn't really want him to get the Jets head coaching job either. I wanted him to go to a position where he could go somewhere and build with the organization that actually has a mentality of being able to let the coach do what they need to do and build, to be honest.
Mike, I just got to jump in real quick and say I'm a Jets fan, and I did not want him to go to the Jets because it would have just destroyed him.
Right. I can see that, but I wonder what Saleh is going to do, because his energy is infectious.
Yes,
it is infectious.
Much better fit.
That's why I think Watson actually likes Saleh. So that's why he's interested in going to the Jets. So, but
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
let's see.
What else
Got
are they
another
saying?
question here. Wow, another question here. The questions are coming fast and furious, and I love it. Keep bringing the questions, big man. All right. Was Tampa winning the Super Bowl more on Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, or Tom Brady or Bruce Arians? I would say one, it was on Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles put together a great game plan. He didn't really have to blitz as much, which he blitzes a lot if you've watched his defenses. He didn't have to blitz as much, but he definitely was, doing whatever he needed to do to make things happen. He got after Mahomes, and he made some things happen. And I've got to give him all the credit in the world. To be honest, I've got to give him all the credit in the world because he held one of the most explosive offenses in NFL history to 3 field goals. Three field goals. So I got to give him all the credit in the world. And of course, you have Bruce Arians that kind of gave the credit to all of his coordinators as well. He said, hey, I just was kind of the manager. They were the ones kind of putting in the work, which I got to give props to Bruce Arians for even saying that. Not many head coaches are actually going to say that and say it out loud for a bunch of people to hear.
No, that's agreed. Bruce Arians. I'm gonna say we all known the makeup of Bruce Arians. When he's gone from from the Steelers to the Colts to Arizona and now to Tampa. He's exactly who we thought he was.
Right. Oh, let's see. I missed the one about Breeze. Goodness gracious. Wow.
Yeah,
So
the
this was
internet was
another
pretty
comment.
hot yesterday with all those
Okay.
Drew Brees comments. I said, "Oh man!" I said, "Dude is coming back." I said, "Whoo."
So, yeah, I've heard Breeze is coming back, those type of things. I've seen that, but honestly, I'm not sure he comes back. And if he comes back, I'm not sure he makes a full season. That's where I'm kind of concerned. I don't know if he comes back, to be honest.
He's got that cushy NBC job waiting for him. There's no way. There's no way. You got easy money. They're gonna make you an analyst. You'll do some he's gonna do Notre Dame, and then he's gonna slide into Collinsworth's spot in a few years. In theory, that's what's been put out there. Why
Gotcha.
even come back after we know how? I mean, and that's besides the point that his arm is shot, but all
Right.
those various injuries that he had doesn't make any sense.
Right. Playing with a torn labrum and multiple rib fractures. That's that. No. I mean, no. No. It's time. It's time. And by the way, the hit that gave him those fractures, I still couldn't believe there was actually a penalty on that play. I was kind of shocked because it really wasn't a play where it was against the rules. But I digress. But no, I just don't. Honestly, I want him to be able to walk away from the game because if he keeps
Yes.
going on like this, he's going to mess around and go away from the game a way he doesn't want to. And I certainly don't want to see that happen. Let's see. Jets need to take Sewell or Chase. Honestly, I'll go this way with this. Sewell, they already drafted a tackle in Becton last year as their first round draft pick. So I don't know if they pick another tackle. They've already got their left tackle. I don't know if they pick a tackle to make the right tackle. When it goes to Chase, yes, I can see them taking Chase, but I don't know if they're going to take Chase at the second pick, though. That's a little high. It's very high for a wide receiver. So if anything, they're going to trade down to get Chase, not trade, not stay at the second spot. So yeah, definitely. See, Breeze's arm is shot. Arians has always been diverse. I agree there. He actually, I don't know if you heard this comment, but he actually said his mom, I believe, talked him into taking the head coaching job in Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians did. His mom. And
Really?
also, yeah, his mom did. And also, another thing is that he wasn't going to take the job if Byron Leftwich wasn't available to be his offensive coordinator. He said that.
Wow.
Said that to him.
Okay.
So if that would have happened, so if Byron Leftwich would have been taken by a team, he would have been still sitting in retirement right now.
Hey, I just want to throw out there the whole interview process. I'm sorry to keep going back to it, but
That's okay.
When we look at the Super Bowl teams and the coaches and assistants and potential coaches, should there be or maybe there is like some type of moratorium, like even for those types of teams that their candidates can actually go and speak with someone, like go and speak with some of these teams, because it seems like every year these guys get shut out.
There should be more of a program. I think there is somewhat of a program for them to go through the actual process. I'm not sure if there's actual like a moratorium like you mentioned, but there is, there is a kind of a process they go through though. But yeah, the NFL could do a better job of creating a moratorium or those things as well. Or, I would say, the Fritz Pollard Alliance could definitely do that as well. So, definitely they could do that maybe in conjunction with the NFL potentially. So that's just a thought I'm throwing out there. But definitely there needs to be more to be done. And honestly, I think the biggest thing that would take this to the next level and level the playing field more would be ownership. If more of people that look like us in ownership, to be honest.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Rivers will be a high school coach. And, did you know that Rivers is going to be a high school coach next year?
I heard something about that.
Yes, he is. He's going to be a high school head coach in Alabama.
Cool.
He's going to be a high school head coach in Alabama. He said, Bree should go ahead and get the easy analyst money. Yeah, he should. He definitely should go ahead and get the easy analyst money. I don't understand why he hasn't, but it's hard to hang it up, I guess. And I guess he just doesn't want to hang it up, and it is what it is. And he's going to keep going on and on and on and trying to continue to make it on. I don't understand it. But, yeah, boy, it just come on, man. Come on, man. But he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to do what he's going to do. But let's see. Leftwich should have been the Jags' new head coach. Yeah, I could definitely say I would have loved to have seen him be the Jaguars' head coach. But crazy part is he didn't even get an interview, which people were all thinking that Bruce Arians was being the head coach or being the offensive coordinator when basically he's been telling you all season he is not the offensive coordinator. That is Byron Leftwich, which that would have been interesting. Byron Leftwich going back to the team that drafted him.
And that would have been great.
Very much.
That would have been great.
But instead you got Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer, who brought in the Iowa strength coach who had many allegations against him, and it caused him to lose his job. And then he brings him in like nothing's happened. And I betted him. I've known him 20 years. That doesn't mean anything, Urban Meyer. You're too close to the situation.
And I'm sorry to be tripping over you because I gotta readdress that because we're Chris Doyle. If you know he's a problem, how does this happen? Like, how does this hire happen?
Right. Exactly. I know, and Big Man said something too. They also made it seem like Tom Brady was calling the plays. Yeah, they did do that too, and that was a disservice to Byron Leftwich.
So Byron Leftwich doesn't get a sniff. He doesn't get a sniff. I mean, so I understand the rage and the fury for, KC's offensive coordinator, but Tampa's offensive coordinator doesn't even get a sniff of an interview. Doesn't even get called in. I think that's where the true, real rage should be. Everyone should really be upset about that.
Very much. And then also the even crazier is you still have people that get him confused with Todd Bowles. Did you see that reporter? Reporter started talking to him about the defense, and he was like, "Well, man, you talking about Todd, and Todd's right down there." I'm like,
Oh,
goodness gracious, come on now. Did we really get Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich confused? They don't even look alike. They
no,
don't even look alike.
no.
Goodness. So it tells a lot about Myers' character. Ooh, can I touch on that one?
Go
Ooh.
ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Now, as far as Urban Meyer, it's going to be interesting to see how former University of Florida fans receive him. Because if you remember, when Tim Tebow was his quarterback, Chris Leak and then Tim Tebow were his quarterbacks, everything was all gravy there. They were winning games and winning championships and competing for championships. Things were good. Tim Tebow leaves. Brantley becomes the quarterback. I think it was what his name was. Brantley, I believe was his name. But anyway, he becomes the quarterback, and they all of a sudden start losing. All of a sudden, he starts having health issues, and he retires and leaves. Then he goes to Ohio State. They're playing, they're this, that, and the other, whatever. And all of a sudden, I guess things weren't going his way or how the way he thought they should go, or the team wasn't as successful. He has health issues. He leaves. So my thing is, if he has health issues and they're related to stress and they cause headaches and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
then
I know where you're going with this.
how does the NFL change that? I mean, you're going to be more stressed in the NFL than you would be in college because you have more control in the
Right.
NFL. It just doesn't make sense to me. One, secondly, the whole thing does not make sense to me. And if he thinks he's going to go out there and be a rah guy and be in control of everything, and players are going to not look at him like he's crazy, then he has lost his mind.
So
He has lost his mind.
I guess my big question I have for you and for everyone that's in the chat is, how many seasons do you give this kind of like science experiment?
I'll say I'm gonna hold up 3.
Okay.
And I'm gonna explain to you why I'm gonna give you 3. He was the coach of Tim Tebow. There at Tim Tebow, he had there at Florida, he had with him, Aaron Hernandez, and there was another guy that he had. He had Marquise Pouncey. Those 3 guys were the main 3 faces on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, Tim Tebow was a very spiritual guy. This is gonna be a funny answer to me, but Tim Tebow was a very spiritual guy. So I'm gonna give him 3 years for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's what I'm gonna give him 3 years right there.
Should we be concerned that Tim Tebow just finally gave up playing, in the Mets single, and double, and triple A? Could he be heading down to go work for the Jaguars?
I thought about that. I thought about that as soon as I saw him give it up. I was like, "Oh goodness, he's gonna come back.
Boy, here we go.
It's gonna be tease us on the sidelines." And for those that are wondering what I just said, I said tease us, TESUS, because some people treated him like he was that guy, and he's not. But oh goodness, somebody said I ain't right. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it just, to me, I don't think he's coming to the sidelines. I don't think he's coming to be a player for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But team chaplain, Antoine. Yeah, he could be the team chaplain. Yeah, I could say that.
Okay.
This is the comment that we're getting in terms of what he thinks that Antoine thinks that he's coming to be the team chancellor. But I think Antoine meant the team chaplain.
Okay.
That would be I mean, I could see him fulfilling that role. I could definitely see that, and he would be one fired up team chaplain on the sideline. I tell you that.
I don't know.
If he comes there to be a coach of quarterbacks, then just throw the whole quarterback room away. I'm sorry, just throw the whole quarterback room away. Yeah, it just But either he could be a coach or the team chaplain. That's what I can say for Tim Tebow.
So, how is the hierarchy? I mean, there's Shad Khan, and I'm guessing Tony Khan it plays a role. But like, do they have like a VP or GM, or does Urban Meyer take over all of that?
Now
Does
they
he
have a
have
GM.
control over
I just
football
can't remember what his
operations?
name is.
Say it again.
They have a GM actually. The GM actually, funny thing, the GM actually is the former GM of the San Francisco 49ers.
Really?
He was the GM when Jim Harbaugh was there. For some reason, I cannot remember his last name. His first name is Trent, I believe, but I can't remember his last name. Funny thing is, I actually met him. He actually drafted my cousin to the 49ers.
Trent York? No, that's Jed York.
Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke.
Trent Baalke. Oh my
He
goodness.
actually drafted my cousin to the 49ers. So basically, he's the GM,
Okay.
and the head coach is. And the funny thing about it is, he's the GM, and he's got a college head coach being a head coach in the NFL for the first time. The only
Wow.
difference is Urban Meyer didn't play in the NFL like Jim Harbaugh did, and we saw how that one turned out with them two butting heads, and then ultimately both of them being dismissed by the organization.
Right.
So let's see if this time he gets it right. But but he's we're getting comments that Khan still gets the last say. So I'm sure he is trying to stay himself out of that, Antoine. But let's see. This is the big thing for me with the Jaguars. The biggest thing for me with the Jaguars. Say it loud, big man. If you don't say that loud enough, sir, say it loud. Jaguars draft really well, but don't hold on to their players after they develop them. That is 100% correct.
Mm.
Look at Jalen Ramsey, gone.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell came there, signed the free agent. They traded him. I mean,
Yep.
look at Malik Jackson was a great defensive tackle for them. They let him go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, he got injured, but they let him go too. I mean, they brought AJ Boye there. They traded him to the Broncos. I mean, every time they get some good players, they're gone. So they draft very good on defense and wide receivers. Yeah, they did draft DJ Chark, and then they did draft Chenault from Colorado last year too. So they have two talented wide receivers. Of course, they have the running back they did pick up, James Robinson, who actually has the most rushing yards in a rookie season for any undrafted running back. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yep.
But
He actually was.
tell me this: how many years ago were they Saxonville? Was that like 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
That's been about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then there's word that Telvin Smith potentially could come back too, which he's been out of the NFL for a year or so just because he's been he walked away. Yeah, Telvin Smith did walk away, but he's potentially could be coming back. And Miles Jack is definitely the only player remaining. Man, he's got to feel lonely.
Because what's his name used to be there? Fournette, right?
Yep. And they got rid of Fournette. They didn't think he was going to be the guy.
Jeez.
And you saw what and I know I actually had a NFL reporter for the covers the Washington football team for 3-point conversion. Frida Parks. She actually is from Jacksonville, so she keeps up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, he has his nickname in the playoffs, which is I think it's Big Game Lenny. That's for Leonard Fournette. So yeah, so she definitely was. I think she was glad to see him do well. I'm not sure, but she was hoping more than likely that was her team in Jacksonville. But they've got some work to do. They've got some work to do. So let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
All right. Carson Wentz. He is now going to the Indianapolis Colts. They get a second round, and I believe the third round draft pick, I believe. And they're going to end up being there's another pick that's going to end up being a first round pick. A first round. It's a second, but it's going to end up being a first because he's going to play 75% of the snaps. I just firmly believe that. If he stays healthy, he will.
Okay.
But so basically, the Philadelphia Eagles really didn't get much in return, and they also get they also get a $33.8 million cap hit by letting him go, which is the most in NFL history.
Right.
Why isn't Howie Roseman fired yet? Why is he still there?
I don't know.
Oh,
I do not know.
This is funny here, right here. Comment from Antoine said Fournette went from the homeless to the penthouse.
From the outhouse to the penthouse, Antoine.
Oh goodness! It said perfect spot because of Frank Wright. Said
Of course.
I mean, I like Frank Wright, but I will say that I don't know if he can fix Carson Wentz.
Well, what was it like 2 years ago? No, 3 years ago. The playoff run. Wasn't Frank Wright the OC at the time?
He was. If he wasn't the offensive coordinator, he was the quarterback's coach. One of the two.
Right. So, I mean, I think he's going to know which buttons to push.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, unfortunately for them, that, if he turns out to be a dud, which we hope he isn't, they got a heck of a lot of money, dead money on that contract they're going to be looking at.
They do. Yes, they do. And
I will tell you this much. As much as my Jets fandom gets in the way, I am so against the Jets giving away 4 and 5 picks for Watson because they have way too many holes. It's different if you just, your team is set and you need that QB.
Right.
Like similar to like a situation with the Colts. They plug the right QB in there, they're going to flow.
Yeah, I hear you there. Just to me, looking at that team with the Colts, they're not as good offensively as people want to make them out to be.
Okay.
I'm going to explain why. They have Costanzo, who is offensive tackle. He's retiring. He's going to join Andrew Luck in retirement.
Okay.
They have a good center in Ryan Kelly, a good guard in Nelson. But who's their other offensive tackle that you can depend on? Who's the other guard that you can depend on? So they have to replace, they have to make sure that those three of the 5 spots are good. Also, T.Y. Hilton's a free agent this offseason.
Ooh.
So they have to make sure to get him back. And from indications, he's going to enjoy being a free agent, which means he's going to get offers. In my thinking, do I think he comes back? I'm not very sure, but I'm 60-40 that he leaves. If he leaves, that means Michael Pittman Jr. is your leading wide receiver. Now he was solid as a rookie last year, but do I think he's ready to be the number 1 wide receiver of that team? No, I don't think he is. So they're going to have to look in free agency, get somebody. One, they need to do that. Secondly, they they're going to have to make sure to shore up their offensive line.
Right.
I didn't even talk about defensively this team. Defensively, Cortland Griffin brought some points up to me the other day. Their defensive backs, they need help there too. I mean, they had Xavier Rhodes there, but can they depend on signing him to a long-term deal? And he's older now. Can they depend on bringing him back and getting the same defense he gave them last year, especially on a 2 or 3 year contract that you're tying up money into? Not for sure. Also, look at their starting up front. DeForest Buckner is there, and he's always going to make an impact. But on the edges, 3 of their 4 outside linebackers are free agents. So they have to make decisions there also. So that team, as much as everybody wants to say, oh, now they're going to be better, they're going to be okay with Carson Wentz and Carson Wentz can do this, that, and other, they still have a lot of decisions to make before they decide they're going to get better.
Okay.
Yeah. And, here's something from Antoine. Antoine said, let's see, what he said. You look at this question. Said offensive tackle would be the first selection. I can't agree there. I can't agree there. Reason why I cannot agree there is because I think they're going to go with the offensive with defense to get a pass rusher. I mean, I've seen a few drafts where they have them drafting Kwity Paye out of Michigan, which he would be a outside edge pass rusher for them as well. So I can see that. Then also I got another comment from Antoine said J.J. Watt should be a target for them.
For the Colts?
I agree.
Okay.
He should be. But do I think he ends up there? Do they have enough money freed up to where he's a priority for them? I'm not for sure. They have a lot of different things they have to do. And,
Watt isn't going to anywhere on a bargain, correct? Or
right. That's correct. That's correct. That's why I don't see him landing in Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's got to cut too much cap space to sign players. Even their their rookies, they've got to sign. They got to cut money to do that. And so there are Antoine's said there are a lot of be a lot of free agent wide receivers out there. They'll be fine, but we'll see. We'll see. You can't go on the cheap to find a number one wide receiver.
No, you can't.
And then you've got Pierre Desir was their best cornerback last year, and they cut him because they didn't want to pay him. Actually, I think Rhodes was their better corner, but that is kind of interesting. But Desir did get kind of beat up a few times out there as well. So you can't necessarily say. I get it. He might have been their best corner, but he did get torched a few times too, and I remember watching. So yeah, I don't know, but I can get him being the number 2 corner, but being number 1 guy, nah, you ain't winning. You're not winning the championship with him as your number 1 corner. It's just not true. It's just not gonna happen. So,
wow.
Yep, man. And let's see. Heck, I didn't even get to talk about. I didn't even talk about college football starting back up tomorrow. The FCS. Deion Sanders makes his coaching debut tomorrow.
Jackson State.
Yep, Jackson State. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
cannot wait.
That's gonna be must see.
I want to see Deion. If somebody picks off a pass, I want to see Deion high stepping down the sideline with them while they run to the end zone.
I would tell you this much. I mean, you guys are more insiders, and you know more than I do. I never saw that coming.
Never saw him being the head coach before?
No, I never saw him. I just thought no. I mean, outside of everything that he was doing, I never thought he would leave that cushiony position at NFL Network and doing the spot on games at CBS or whoever is like the Thursday night affiliate. I never saw him leaving that position. I said, no, this guy's making money. He's got to do this for what, 16 to 20 weeks a year. They're gonna back up the truck for him. I didn't see him. Like, I heard about potentially he can be leaving, and I was like, nah, it's not gonna happen. I said this is probably another ploy for him for a contract negotiation.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, he's with Barstool Sports now, which I don't necessarily have the greatest feelings for Barstool Sports, but it's where he is now. And then he's with Jackson State, and honestly, he's brought a lot of buzz to that team. I mean, look at him. He's got I wouldn't say he stole, but he swayed a couple recruits that were going to go to Florida to come to Jackson State, which that's huge. Getting 3-star recruits at that level, 3- and 4-star recruits at that level of play is incredible. It's incredible. And he got a linebacker from Tennessee. He got a guy that transferred from USC to transfer there.
Wow.
And he's got a lot of different players to transfer. He's got his son, who was a 4-star quarterback, is going there. His other son that was at South Carolina transferred there too. So I mean, honestly, I'm intrigued to watch this, and honestly, I selfishly hope that I can go to the Classic next year in Memphis, because Jackson State plays TSU. They play them every year in Memphis, and that would be great to be able to see that team up close and in person, and actually get to interview him after the game. So that would be fun to do.
Mike, what's that comment say?
That says, hold on one second. I'm clicking on it now. I'm bringing it up. Now, I wouldn't know anything about this, but, it's the comment that we got. Deion should have been at Florida State, but I don't think the boosters wanted him there. I wouldn't doubt that. I would not doubt that. I think Bobby Bowden would have to be the guy to talk them into getting Deion to be the head coach. And Deion, of course, some people still have hard feelings about, I guess, how he left or when he left there. But, you got to think about all the great things he did for that team, that organization. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to call them an organization because they are making money. So I'm going to call them an organization. But as far as the Florida State Seminoles, I mean, they missed their chance. They hired a couple coaches and they fired a couple coaches, and they just cannot seem to get it right. I hate it for them. I hate it for the fans of that team and that college. I know that there are a few that are on my timeline on Twitter, which I haven't seen them chime in yet. But hey, it's neither here nor there. But yeah, I hate it for them. Said he still donates money there too. Yep, he sure does. He sure does. Man, Ted, I'm at 243. I'm like 7 people away.
We're 7 people away. We're gonna close out with a little bit of NBA talk, and sure. We're gonna go right to, I guess the Taylor, to the end. Yeah. How disappointed would you be if at the end of the season we're not seeing Brooklyn versus the Lakers?
How do we not see that?
How disappointed would you be if we don't see that?
I'll say I won't be disappointed, especially if it's Philadelphia. I won't be disappointed because I'd love to see Embiid on the biggest stage in the NBA. I mean, honestly, he's having a MVP season, so I mean, I wouldn't be too terribly disappointed. The biggest thing the Lakers probably need to worry about now is the health of Anthony Davis. So I would be a little disappointed in that end if it wasn't them, and say if it was like Utah. I like Utah, and I think they're having a very solid season.
Right.
But, Utah just doesn't push the excitement meter for me.
It doesn't get the juices flowing. I mean, they're a quality team. Antoine's jumping in with...
I got him.
Yeah.
Brooklyn doesn't have a bench, so I wouldn't be disappointed. I'll say this about Brooklyn. Brooklyn is forming a bench actually right now. They do have they do have Jeff Green. I think they were starting him, so they started him, went to the small lineup. So they could bring Deion Jordan for defense. They do have Amon Shumpert over there they can bring in for defense. They do have Tyler Johnson, which people forget he was hooping off the bench for the Miami Heat a couple years ago. They do also have Bruce Brown, who's not bad at all. So, they do have a few guys that can bring some offense there. And then also what you got to remember is one of those three are going to be on the floor at all times.
Right.
So you're going to have it's going to be easier for the players around them because, I mean, essentially they're going to be drawing most of the attention, if not all of it. So I think they'll be all right. And then they got one other comment said Anthony Davis has always had injury problems, so I'm not surprised. Well, yeah, he may have always had injury problems, but, an Achilles is a total different thing. That is a total different thing. So you could, at any given point in time, that could go. So,
I do want to say this. You checked me the other day in the chat room where I still think, like, the fact that it's February and they're talking about he needs rest and it's his Achilles and it's a strain, it's a calf strain. I think he's going down that route. I know you and Brian were like, no. I still think he's going down that route where, remember with Durant, Durant needed rest, and he rested. I mean, of course, Anthony Davis won't receive the pressure that Kevin Durant did. But let's say he gets this rest. You don't see surgery as the end game for him?
I don't see it at this point. I would say they're being smart with letting him rest for about a month. That's the smartest thing they could do. I think eventually it probably will happen, but the biggest thing for the Lakers is to play this smart and not allow it to happen this year.
So I guess
they can to take care of him.
I guess a follow-up question for me would be to you and to Antoine. So if he does have the surgery, so are we talking about 18 months he's going to be done?
We're talking about 12 to 18 months. Yes.
Ugh. Wow.
That would be interesting because then you got old man James and the Lakers. It'd be just like
you're gonna wear him to a little nub.
I would say that I would also say that it would also be an opportunity for Kyle Kuzma, because the thing is, as much as Lakers fans dog that man, he has been solid for them this year. And if he gets more opportunities to actually score and things like that, he can get you 20 points a game. He can do that. And the thing is, I just don't understand the vitriol for him. I just don't understand the vitriol that Lakers fans have for him every game. I think he's playing solid basketball. I think
all right. And Antoine did also co-sign. He said, "Yep, a year and a half." I'm just like, damn, that's a long time, because now you actually, when you factor it, it's like almost 2 seasons.
Right. And he threw another question at us too. Where does Blake end up? I say return to the Clippers. I actually have somewhere different for him to go. Same city, different hallway.
Oh.
Because honestly, I could see him coming in off the bench for the Lakers. Because if you look at Kuzma now, last year Kuzma was backing up at power forward, and then in the bubble they moved him to backing up at small forward.
Gotcha.
This is what I think happens. They could potentially get him at a buyout and bring him in. Then you have your rotation of Gasol, Anthony Davis, Harrell, and then you can go to Blake Griffin or one of the Morris twins. That's a very solid rotation right there. And thing is, Blake can actually handle the basketball, and he can actually pass the basketball as well. He's just a more athletic version of Marc Gasol, more athletic but shorter version of Marc Gasol. Because he can shoot the three, he can pass, he can actually dribble the ball up the court as well.
But how much is still owed on that contract?
Here's the thing, he's got but the thing is, if they buy him out,
perfect.
Then there's nothing owed on that.
Perfect. I like that idea.
And I think that would be a solid addition for the Lakers, to be honest.
I like that idea. And from there, would Detroit be able to stretch that?
More than likely. They do a little Luau Ding thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, the Lakers are still paying Luau Ding, by the way.
Oh.
I think this year is the last year.
Man. I like that. I like that idea, because I was, I'm a dollars and cents type guy. So I'm sitting here saying, okay, you're going to be paying this guy how much? So Antoine said 39 million, 41 if he's traded.
Yeah. Whew. But you can still stretch that out, use a stretch position to stretch that out over maybe like 5 to 10 years, 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
You can stretch that out.
Okay.
Somebody said, Pam Hagler said, can you react to my channel LH Highlights? Honestly, I'm not sure what LH Highlights is, but okie dokie. You know what that is? I don't know what that is. Not trying to sound funny at all, Pam, but I just don't know what that is. Maybe you could explain that to me, what it is, and then I can go from there. But Man, I can't believe I just looked at the time. We've been on here 2 hours and 30 minutes, man.
Man, it's done. You got your Haps challenge.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like we've been on 2 hours and 30 minutes.
No. It just seems like you're having a conversation. You read and Antoine is chiming in from the chat. Hopefully, this is the push in the right direction that Twan needs to sign up with Haps.
I'm gonna send him the information. I'm gonna send him the information. Come on, Twan. Come on over to Haps, man. Come on over. They ain't gonna bite you. Come on. I'll send you the invite. You can go ahead and sign up. Said it's okay, but keep up the great work. Oh, well, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. I'll keep up the great work. I just wasn't sure what LH Highlights was, but thank you. But
maybe they're reacting to your YouTube page.
Yep. This is all coming from my YouTube page. And I'm like, wow.
Coming from your YouTube page.
Oh, what's the app? Big Main. I'll tell you what. If you would follow me on Twitter, I can send you the information.
Yep.
Big Main. Hold on one sec. I'll send you my Twitter handle.
Yep. And to the people, while Mike sends out his Twitter handle to the viewers of the archive, that are going to be watching this later on tonight, make sure you give Mike Patton a follow. If you want to chime in on a response or anything like that, he will see the response, and he's a good person. He's going to definitely get back to you.
Yep. And then here you go. Smitty's Sports Machine on YouTube. Definitely got to check out Smitty's Sports Machine on YouTube. Definitely high quality work, and he's going to give it to you 100%.
Definitely.
Oh, you knew we were going to get this question from somebody.
Oh,
Lord. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
He's building a case. 3,000 more points. He's going to build the case.
Well, I will say this. What I'm going to say. I'm going to give the political answer. Say they're both great players.
Yes. I agree. I'm just saying he's building a case.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is.
The only thing I will say, and I don't want to, because I always beat up. I mean, over the years, I would always beat up the Danny Thompson, who's the president of the LeBron James fan club.
I'm gonna tell him you said that too.
You make sure you tell him. We've been calling him that for almost 10 years. Longevity, yeah, he's going to break every record in the world. Because if you look at his body and you say he's 36 years old, dude, he hasn't slowed down.
Now.
Say it again.
37 now.
Say it again.
So I think he's 37 now.
He's 37. So he's 37. He's not slowing down. And I was watching the Brooklyn and Laker game the other night, and he's going to the hole. There wasn't nobody out there ready to take that charge.
Nope. They were escorting him to the rim.
His physique, like when I see LeBron now, the first thing I think of is Karl Malone. Because Karl Malone's physique was, Karl Malone did not have the same athleticism, but Karl Malone's body like was similar. Like, built like a tight end.
Right. Definitely. And I'll say this though, he'll be the like Danny. I've talked with Danny about LeBron James as well, and Danny brought up a good point. He'll end up being top 10 in scoring and top 10 in assists.
Yeah,
not too many guys are top 10 in scoring and assists.
No,
he'd be the first.
No, and he's gonna play what 23, 20? I don't know. What's he at now?
He's only play about 20 years, 20 to 23 years.
20 to 23 years. He have all the records.
Yep.
He'll have all the records, and then the argument will be, well, he hung around.
I'm like, I don't think at this point, I don't think he's hanging around. I think he's still dominating. If he starts dropping to where he can't play the way he wants to play, I think he'll hang it up at that point.
Danny's told me on many occasions that he's hanging around so he can play with his son.
I tend to believe that as well.
Okay.
And his son's actually a sophomore. I think he'll be a junior in high school next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me.
And you know he's definitely a one and done, right?
I would say, yeah, he's definitely a one and done. I don't know why I was about to say something different.
Yeah, you was about to go there.
I thought about it, but I was like, nah.
He's about to go there.
So if the Warriors didn't build that super team, he easily would have 5 rings. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. They did beat him. They did beat LeBron one time before they had any type of super team. So, and then super team word is kind of funny to me because before there were actually free agent super teams, there were drafting super teams like the
Thunder.
Like no, not the Thunder. Now going far back as the Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers, Detroit Pistons. I mean, you can just keep going on and on and on.
You're right.
Those teams drafted well. They were drafting super teams, not
drafting
free agent super teams.
Twan says he'll be in the league under 2 years.
Nah, he'd have to reclassify at that point. I don't think he's reclassifying. He's already, I think, pretty young for his grade, but I'm not sure. So we'll see what happens. But man, we've been on here about 3 hours, man. So
yeah, man.
I think it's time to take a break.
It was good talk. We made the Haps challenge.
Danny, look who popped in.
Old
Danny Thompson. He would pop in at the last minute. I think we spoke him up.
Danny, you're my hero.
There's a hero. I'm not a singer, so I'm not gonna do that. He said keep it going. He said keep it going, man. We've been on here 2.5 hours, man.
Man, listen.
The sun is going down.
One want to chime in. I don't know, Mike. I don't know if Danny's going. I think he still might have to do his Haps challenge later on tonight. I don't know.
I don't know if he's still going in it. I know he's on here, but I don't know if he's got the 250 and everything.
Oh.
Well, look at it. Look. We bring one, we bring the other. Look at
that.
You see the synergy here?
First lady.
You see the synergy here.
Precious, how you doing?
Oh man.
So if he's gonna do it later on tonight, I'm gonna jump on with him because we got to keep this thing going.
Right.
I think we're at week. I think I'm at week number 4.
Yeah, this would be week 4 for me right here.
Yeah. So I'm at week 4. Hornets.
He got post game tonight. Okay.
So this is gonna be a long post game tonight.
Nah, he gonna make it 20 minutes.
He's gonna make it 20 minutes? Nah,
more than likely he's gonna do 20 or 30 minutes more than likely. Yeah, Warriors play the Hornets tonight.
Okay.
So man, I want to see LaMelo Ball versus Steph Curry tonight. Yeah, I want to see if Steph Curry hits a shot, if he does the bankhead bounce or whatever he wants to do, and then he points at his dad, who calls the games. That would be funny.
Man, 275 viewers. Yeah, listen, ESPN has boxing and Showtime has Adrian Broner, so I'm going to be a little torn.
Oh, goodness. Adrian
I'll be a little torn.
Did I tell you I met him?
I
mean, I'm sorry, I didn't meet him. I saw him at the Caleb Plant fight in Nashville. Really? I actually had credentials to that fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was at that fight, was at the press conference after the game. After the boxing match. And I saw Adrian Broner, and he talking about, boxing again. My first reaction was, Lord, I hope he's going to get in shape.
Yeah.
Because he was way out of shape when he was in Nashville.
Man. So Danny's chimed in. Danny and Precious have chimed in to say 275 viewers. I think that's what he's talking about, the amount of viewers you have right now. And we're going at least that long.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll mess around and eat my dinner and give me something to drink so I can watch and chime in, Danny.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So we're going to release that long. Yeah. So,
Oh goodness.
man, it was great. Thank you for taking me on this sports ride. Um,
Yes,
it,
sir.
it's like a ride along, like a fan gets to hang out with the journalist. And I'm like, hey, so I'm going to just throw these questions out at you and get your take on it.
Well, hey, Danny, when you get a chance, rewind it back about an hour or so ago. We were talking about different things, marketing things, and I had my whole spiel of marketing ideas for the NFL and the NBA. I think you would like it.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. But hey, man, I'm going to talk to you later. All right.
All right, thanks for coming on, man.
As always.
All right. All righty. Well, we've been on here a good little bit today. Talked a lot of NBA, NFL, a little marketing. But yeah, we got to call it a day. All right. Thank you all for chiming in. Thank you, Bannerman. Thank you, Danny, Precious. Thank you, Antoine. Thank you. I'm trying to think. Big Main. Big Main chimed in from YouTube. Pam from YouTube. Just a lot of people chimed in today. We got 114 comments, which, wow, that's a lot. Let's keep it going next time. If you haven't, sign up for the Haps app. Big Man, follow me on Twitter. Sign up for the Haps app. Antoine, I'm going to send you a link. Sign up for the Haps app. Anybody else want to sign up? I got you. I got the link for you. Just thank you all for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at MikePadden82. That's MikePadden82. You can check some of my workout in the 3-point conversion. That's the number 3pointconversion.com. The number 3pointconversion.com. Writers like Danny. See my guy Cortland. And I mean, just a lot of good people, a lot of good work there. You see, we got Eric on there too. There's a lot of different people that could be potentially popping up on this app as well. You just have to stay and see. But thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for the comment, Pam, for the live stream. Thank you for tuning in. And you all have a great rest of your Saturday.